Okay everybody, here we are back, and this is the Battle of Tewkesbury from Blood and Roses by GMT Games. I played this battle last week and I made a couple of mistakes, which means I want to replay this battle to, you know, see what it's like when you play with the requirements that I should have met. So first of all, this is the Lancastrian side. We have three battles here. We have the Battle of Devon up here, which consists of 1 unlimbered artillery, 3 longbowmen, 2 infantrymen and 1 dismounted men-at-arms unit. Here we have Lord John Wenlock, again 3 longbowmen, 1 handgun unit, 1 unlimbered artillery, 2 infantry and 2 dismounted men-at-arms. And then here we have the Battle of Somerset under Beaufort, who's also the overall commander. 3 longbowmen, 1 unlimbered artillery, 1 handgun unit, 2 infantry units and 1 dismounted men-at-arms. Now, what was the main problem last week? Well, the main problem was that I actually played the artillery wrong, because I made the decision to move the artillery believing that if it was in an unlimbered state, you could simply limber it and then move it around at will, which you can't. Once a unit of artillery has been unlimbered, it cannot be moved. So basically, the Lancastrians have their artillery unlimbered at the beginning of play. So the only thing that they can do with their artillery is basically change facing. So that is a huge difference because artillery didn't play that much of a role in the era that is being modeled in this game. But in the last week or last week's session, I did move the artillery around, and it did have one or the other impact on the enemies. So basically, in order to play this correctly, I should never have moved the artillery once I had used it for the first time. And of course now, since the Lancastrians start with unlimbered artillery, they cannot be moved at all. So the only thing that I can do with these is change facing. So this is what I'm going to be doing now, and I'm also going to show you the Yorkists. The Yorkist side, we again have 3 battles. In the middle we have King Edward IV, who is also the overall commander of the army here. Down here we have Richard Plantagenet, Duke of Gloucester, who will be Richard III later on. And up here we have also Richard Plantagenet, the Duke, that's not Richard Plantagenet, that is Hastings, Lord Hastings, up here. So the difference is that the Yorkist artillery starts its game in a limbered state, which means it can be moved up to 4 spaces on each activation. But once you unlimber it and you make a decision where to position them, the only thing after that you can do with them is fire and change facing. So the Yorkists have the advantage. Also, they go first, so they have the initiative, but they have the advantage that all of their units can still be moved. So they get to move first, and they can also position their artillery in such a way that as they see fit. So we'll see if that makes a difference. Also, each group got to draw seizure counters. The Yorkists got 4. They got near miss, which negates 1 friendly leader death. I've never ever experienced a leader death, so that's basically a card that is, you know, unusable. Seizure negation, they can negate the seizure attempt of the other group. Now, the thing is, they don't have a seizure opportunity. So they won't be able to use this card either. Into the breach, 1 DRM for 1 shock charge, +1 DRM for 1 shock charge attack against 1 defending unit, Play when determining DRMs for an attack before DR is made. And 1 sees your opportunities 0 to 7. And the Lancastrians have Into the Breach as well. Seize your negation, which they could use because York has a seize your opportunity. And then they have the near miss as well. So that's the situation at the beginning of the game. What's going to happen now is I'm going to activate the whole Yorkist army, which means that I can move all units and leaders to their full movement allowance, but only up to 3 hexes away from the enemy. Now, this isn't going to be that big of a problem because the hexes between the two armies are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hexes. The maximum amount of hexes that can be moved by any unit is 5, and that's the longbowmen, and that doesn't take into account that there is a penalty for the hedgerow, a penalty to movement for the hedgerow hexes that basically divide the the whole field into 2. In addition to these forces here, Gloucester, Richard Plantagenet, Duke of Gloucester, has 1 cavalry unit which starts off map, which he can use at any point during activation as an ambush. That one proved to be quite effective last week. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to position the Yorkist army. So the Yorkist army has moved and has failed its continuity role. So now what's happening is that the Lancastrians get a free activation. They will also activate their army, bearing in mind that all units can move except for the artillery, which has to stay stationary. The Lancastrians have moved, and they have also shot at their enemies, and they have been actually quite successful. They have disordered this handgun unit, this infantry unit, another infantry unit over here, and they have only suffered 1 disorder return fire over here. So they have been doing really well. Now we will see if they can continue to act. So now the Yorkist army, the Lancastrian army has moved, and we have also won a continued activation for Lord Devon. Basically what's now happened is they have continued into the hedgerow and have shocked this longbow unit, but by entering into the front hex of this longbow unit, they got shot at. So basically they were disordered when they shocked, and at an attacker disordered you get at you start at a -2. Infantry against longbow is a +1, so he's at a -1. He rolled a 1, which brings it to a 0, and that means nothing happens. Attacker disordered, seeing as the attacker already is disordered, nothing happens. This longbow unit shot at that longbow unit. Return fire actually led to, or reaction fire I should say, led to this unit being disordered. So the Lancastrians have not been doing too well on their first activation. Now they're going to try and continue to activate. They roll a 0, which is enough to continue, and they will activate John Wenlock. So if you like, the purple striped units are now going to move, and we will see what we can do. So the Yorkists have attacked the Lancastrians, and they've managed to eliminate 2 units, which means that the Lancastrian fly track is at 2, whereas the Yorkist one is at 0. But they've suffered a couple of disorder results. So here the infantry unit is disordered and it basically didn't manage to make any impact here, and this infantry unit that isn't disordered wasn't able to make any headway here in a shock attack, so those rolls were really bad. And also the Yorkists have now lost initiative because they lost their continuity roll, so now it's over to the Lancastrians, and we will see how they fare. They will start with their lowest rated leader, simply because otherwise it will be almost impossible to continue to win the continuation roll. So this is going to be Lord Devon up here, and he is going to move in here and attack Hastings and the King. Now, that result here was not too impressive. We managed to disorder this longbow unit. We didn't manage to make any headway here with this longbow unit, although we attacked it with dismounted men-at-arms. We withdrew this infantry unit, so on the next activation they will be able to change their disordered state. So overall the the Lancastrians are unlucky, and also they've just failed their continuation roll, rolling a 5. So now it's the Yorkists again, and we will be activating Gloucester. Okay, it's not looking too good for the Lancastrians. They have 5 flight points, the Yorkists have 1. As you can see at the moment, the Lancastrians have just managed to get 2 continuity activations in one go. So now it reverts back to the Yorkist player. The Yorkists will now activate the King, and also bring back this particular handgun unit. So they're going to they have come out of retirement, so now they're going to lose their disordered state, and then they're going to move in again. Like I said, it's playing quite differently this time round, with the artillery being completely static, because this artillery has now been unlimbered, this artillery has now been unlimbered. They have shot, they have made no difference, but still, I mean, there's much less movement here. So I'm going to activate the King now, hopefully then be able to continue to get Richard in on the action as well. And then we will see how this progresses, but at the moment it's Lancaster 5, York 1 in terms of flight points, and of course the lower the flight point number, the better. And also there are no eliminated units on the side of the Lancastrians, so yeah. Okay, so talk to you soon.